Hey, good morning. We are about to get started for the 45-minute yoga class. No equipment is required for the class. You'll just need your mat and yourself, so bare feet will be fine. No shoes are needed. The focus on today's class I thought would be a little bit of hip and spine mobility, just working on what we did on Tuesday for anyone that might have missed it. So that's hopefully my plan. I will kind of do a similar class on Fridays as we did on Tuesdays. Today's class will be 45 minutes in length. And when you're getting set up, just make sure that you take a quick look around, make sure that you don't have anything that you could trip over or any hazards around you that you might hit. So just make sure that you have a nice, clean space around you. Before we get started, just always remember that during class to go at your own pace, take breaks as needed. If at any point you experience any type of faintness, dizziness, shortness of breath, or pain, always remember that you know your body best. You can stop at any time and stop exercising. Take breaks and always stay hydrated. With that being said, we will get started. I will periodically come closer to the camera just to make sure everything is going okay. And I will let you know when that happens just so that you don't freak out. Other than that, we'll get started. So we're going to start on our mat or on the floor. Maybe you have a carpeted area. And just come into a seated position. You can have the legs crossed or the legs nice and long in front of you. Your choice, whatever feels better. With the legs in a comfortable position, just find the neutral grounding with the hips so you can remove the fleshy or parts of the glutes so that you sit down onto the sits bones. And then just begin to settle into that space. You can allow the eyes to soften, maybe even close. Just bringing a bit of awareness before we start class. Begin to notice a sense of elongation going from top to bottom along the spine. Almost as if the base of the spine is beginning to plug into the earth beneath you. Feel an expansion across the front of the chest, so the shoulders reaching to either side of the room, the heart center nice and buoyant, shining forward. Feel the back of the neck and the head. And then once you've assessed the body from top to bottom, just begin to notice your breath. So notice the natural inhales and exhales through the nose. Notice the rise and fall of the abdomen with every breath. Notice how the rib cage expands. And just take 2 full breaths here, breathing in and out through the nose. And then only when you're ready, you can slowly open up the eyes. So from here in our seated position, we're just going to bring a little bit of movement to the stretch to the side body and the spine. So we're going to come into a posture that's called waving grass. So inhale, lift both arms up with the fingertips reaching up towards the sky. Spread the fingertips nice and wide so the palms are nice and wide. So similar to grass waving in the wind, you're going to take a nice inhale, lengthen through the spine, and then as you exhale, hinge over to your right side. So you're feeling a stretch along the left side body, left side of the torso, maybe all the way up through the armpit, chest, through the arms. Lengthen here as you inhale. Notice that left corner of the hip, if it's rising, draw it down. And then as you exhale, hinge a little bit more over to your right. Take a nice deep inhale, charge through the arms, lengthen all the way to the fingertips. As you exhale, come through center and then over to the left side. So again, same principles apply. Notice the stretch along the right side body, right torso, right rib cage. Draw that right corner of the hip down. Lengthen through the arms as you inhale, and then as you exhale, hinge a little bit more. Inhale deeply, and then as you exhale, come through center. Hinge forward, bring the fingertips forward as if you're pitching a tent with the hands. So the fingertips are going to be Press down into the earth and the palms are lifted. Draw the shoulder blades along the back of the spine up towards the sky. So you feel buoyancy across the front of the chest. So it's almost like you're rolling your shoulder blades back. And then from here, you're lengthening through the spine. Draw the corner of the hips down, back of the neck nice and long. Take a full inhale. And then as you exhale, slowly walk the fingertips over to your right side. So similar to the first posture, you might notice one corner of the hip lifts as you move from one side to the other. So just draw that hip down, lengthen the back of the neck. Maybe you stretch out through the arms. One more breath here. And then as you exhale, come through center and then over to the left side. So again, draw the right corner of the hip down if you notice it lift. Almost as if you're drawing the belly button towards the inner thigh. So you're kind of drawing the abdomen in and having a very subtle twist with the torso so that belly button and inner thigh can meet. One more breath here. Come through center and then take a nice deep inhale. Bring the fingertips up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, you're going to come into a gentle twist to the right. So left hand comes over to the right knee. Right hand comes behind you. And you're looking over towards the right side. So feeling a twist along the spine, almost as if each and every single vertebrae is slowly beginning to twist one at a time. As you inhale, you lengthen, and then as you exhale, maybe you find a deeper twist. Maybe looking over that right shoulder one day for one more breath. And then as you exhale, come through center. Inhale, lift the arms up again, spread through the fingertips. And then as you exhale, you're twisting over to your left side. So right hand onto the left knee, left hand behind you. Planting that left palm into the earth or your mat behind you. Lengthen through the spine. And then as you exhale, you'll twist to your left. Maybe you'll look over that left shoulder one day. Draw the belly in on your last breath when you exhale. And then slowly come through center. Inhale, lift the arms up. And then as you exhale, bring the palms down. We're going to come into a tabletop position. So in your tabletop position, your hands will be underneath your shoulders, knees underneath the hips. The backs of the feet, the toes may be curled if that feels better for balance, or the tops of the feet may be flat on your mat. Your choice, however that feels for you. So we're going to continue to bring more movement into the spine, just bringing a little bit of a faster pace. And we're going to cycle through 3 different movements. So we're going to cycle through tabletop, child's pose, and downward facing dog. So from here, you're going to take a nice deep inhale in your tabletop position. As you exhale, you're going to push the hips back, bring the forehead down to your mat or the floor beneath you into child's pose. From child's pose, you're going to take a full cycle of breath. And then slowly, as you exhale, come back through table. Take a deep inhale in table. Curl the backs of the toes if they're not already curled. Lift through the knees as you exhale and find downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, take a full cycle of breath, full inhale through the nose. As you exhale, look forward in between the palms and then slowly walk both feet forward, come into a forward fold. In your forward fold, allow the head to hang heavy. You can bend the knees if you need to alleviate sensations in the back of the hamstrings. And then from here, inhale, belly's going to lift halfway up, hands to the shins. The crown of the head reaches forward, spine lengthens here, belly draws in. Full inhale, we're going to exhale, forward fold again. So we're lengthening the low back, allowing the head to hang heavy so the neck lengthens out here as well, the entire backside body. And then slowly, as if you're uncurling one vertebrae at a time, on your next inhale, you're going to slowly curl your way up all the way to standing. Head comes up last. So from here in your standing position, equal standing posture, samasthiti. You're going to root through the feet, engage through the kneecaps so that you
feel the front of the thighs engaged. Arms to either side of the body, fingertips facing down. Feel the expansion across the front of the chest, abdomen drawn in. Looking straight forward, we're going to inhale, arms up towards the sky. Maybe the palms touch. As you exhale, you're going to bend through the elbows, bring the fingertips towards the back of the head, and then you can interlace the fingertips if you want. We're going to bring more movement into the spine, and we're going to be curling into a forward fold and then uncurling back up, and I'll guide you through it. So from here, we're going to bend the knees like we're coming into a chair posture. From here, you're going to inhale, allow the gaze to look up towards the sky. As you exhale, tuck the chin in towards the chest. Begin to curl the spine like a tiny little ball, almost as if your forehead and knees were to touch. In your curled spine position here, as if you're sitting in an imaginary chair, take a full inhale, full exhale. We're going to uncurl on your next inhale. So begin to uncurl from the base of the spine, still sitting in that imaginary chair, and then head comes up last as you look up. Full inhale, we're going to do that one more time. As you exhale, chin tucks into the chest. You begin to curl into that ball. Forehead and knee touch. Hold here as you exhale. Inhale all the way up, head coming up last. Looking up towards the sky on that deep inhale, and then release the thighs. Beautiful. From here, you're going to inhale, lift both palms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway up, hands to the shins. Exhale, fold, plant the palms, walk both feet back into plank. So we're going to cycle through a couple flows here. I'll show you 3 different modifications. So the first modification, once you walk your feet back, and you're in a plank position, in order to lower towards your mat, you can bring the knees down. Slowly bring belly, chest, and chin down. Inhale through baby cobra. So the tops of the feet rooted, hands rooted underneath the shoulders. Front of the chest nice and buoyant as you inhale. And then as you exhale, slowly curl the back of the feet. And then from here, once you're down onto the earth or your mat and the front side body is resting, you can either press yourself up or bring yourself through table to find downward facing dog. Your choice. So that was one modification. In downward facing dog, take a full cycle of breath. Deep inhale, deep exhale. As you look forward, the feet are going to walk or jump forward in between the hands. Find a forward fold. Inhale, belly rises halfway up. Exhale, fold, plant the palms, head hangs heavy. On your next inhale, you're going to rise all the way to the top. Palms come up. Exhale, hands to either side. Okay, so that was modification number 1. We got 2 more to go. So modification number 2 through the flow, we're going to inhale, palms come up. Exhale, fold as you hinge from the hips, head hangs heavy. Inhale, lifting the belly up, coming into a 90-degree angle. Exhale, fold, plant the palms, walk or jump both feet back into plank. So modification number 2, when you're in plank position, you're not going to lower through the knees. You're just going to bend through the elbows, find chaturanga. And then from here, you can descend the belly and still do baby cobra. Or if you're coming from chaturanga, you can do upward facing dog. So tops of the feet rooted, pelvis is lifted, and you look up, front of the chest nice and buoyant. And then as you exhale, downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, take a full cycle of breath. Deep inhale, deep exhale. As you look forward, both feet walk or jump forward, come into a forward fold, head hangs heavy. Inhale, belly rises halfway up. Exhale, fold, plant the palms. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Palms come up, maybe you look up. And then exhale, hands to either side. Awesome. So one more modification here, just so that we can see what works best for us during class. So we're going to do the third one. We're going to inhale, lift arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, belly rises halfway up, hands to the shins. Exhale, fold, plant the palms, walk both feet back into plank. So from here in your plank position, you can choose to do table and then belly, chest, and chin, and then do cobra or upward facing dog. Or in chaturanga here, you can completely skip chaturanga and just come into downward facing dog. So first modification was a little bit of a challenge, allowing your body to assess the points of contact that are needed while you're lowering towards the ground and the strength building in the upper body. The second one was a little bit more challenging, coming into chaturanga. And then the third one is probably the easiest, where you're omitting both steps of coming towards the earth and just coming into downward facing dog. Okay, so from here in downward facing dog, we're gonna look forward in between the palms, walk or jump both feet forward, come into a forward fold, head hangs heavy. Inhale, belly rises halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way up to standing, palms come up. And then exhale, hands to either side. Awesome. So similar to how we were warming up the spine in the beginning, coming into chair pose, we're going to start our vinyasa or our flow in that same posture. So we're going to come into chair posture, bending at the knees, tilting the hips back, sitting into that imaginary chair. As you inhale this time, though, arms will come up. You can bring the arms parallel to the earth, or you can bring the arms a bit higher, whatever feels better for your shoulders today. Maybe the palms face each other, maybe the palms touch. Inhale deeply here. As you exhale, allow your gaze to look down as you forward fold, head hangs heavy. Inhale, belly rises halfway up. Exhale, fold, plant the palms, walk both feet back into plank. Lower your way, meeting in downward facing dog for 3 breaths. In downward facing dog, breathing in and out through the nose. Maybe you want to widen the feet, see how that feels. If that felt good, maybe you widen the hands for 1 more breath. On your next inhale, really root down through the left foot. Lift that right foot up towards the sky, point the toes. Charge through that right thigh. As you exhale, draw the right foot forward in between both palms. Descend the left knee here so that you're into a low lunge. And then from here, lifting through the torso, inhale, lift the palms up. As you exhale, palms touch, hands come to heart center, thumbs against the chest. Full inhale here. If you want to bring more depth into the posture, as you exhale, you're going to lift that left foot back behind you, and you can clasp on to the foot with the left hand. So that'll bring more of an intensity or a stretch into the front of the left thigh, left corner of the hip. So your choice, 2 options, either palms up or grabbing onto the foot for 1 more breath. As you exhale, look down, palms plant down, step the right foot back into plank. Cycle through your flow, so either through table or chaturanga. Shining the heart forward always in upward facing dog or baby cobra. And then meeting in downward facing dog for 3 breaths. So when you're here for 3 breaths, assess how the hamstrings and arms feel. See if you can adjust a little bit so that you find more comfort each and every time that you come back to downward facing dog. On your next inhale, lift the left leg up towards the sky, charge the toes. And then as you exhale, draw that left foot forward in between the palms. We're going to descend the right knee this time, coming into that low lunge on the other side. And then as you inhale, palms will lift up to the sky. Again, finding the depth that works best for you, and always noticing that one hip may feel differently than the other. So maybe on this side, you can't clasp onto the foot. Completely normal, that's okay. You can always just slowly start by lifting the foot 1 step at a time. Or if you're just hanging out with the arms lifted, fingertips to the sky, that's completely fine as well for 1 more breath. As you exhale, allow your gaze to look down, palms meet your mat, left foot steps back into plank. Cycle through your flow, or again, you can always skip it. Go into downward facing dog for 3 breaths. Rooting through the palms and the fingertips. Rooting through the toes, maybe even the backs of the heels on your next exhale. And then as you look forward, both feet walk or jump forward. Come into a forward fold, head hangs heavy. Inhale, belly rises halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to standing, arms come up. Exhale, hands to either side. You're probably feeling a little bit warmer now, hopefully. So we're going to skip through those flows and then come into a couple full body stretches to stretch out the hips and the spine. The next posture is going to be known as triangle posture. So we're going to take a big step back with our left foot. Root that left heel down. So adjust that back foot as needed. Maybe it's closer to the outer edge of your mat. Maybe heel to heel alignment feels better. Just assess how it feels. Level out the hips so the corner of the hips are aiming towards facing forward in front of you. And then from here, left hand to the left hip, right hand facing up to the sky. You're going to bring that arm parallel to the earth and begin to hinge forward, almost as you're reaching forward. Until you can't reach anymore, then you hinge from that right corner of the hip, come down. And then the right palm can rest on the shin, on the inside of the right hand, inside of the right foot, your choice. And then left hand reaches up to the sky. So you're coming into that twist through the spine and then rooting through the legs. So you're feeling the movement in the hips as well. Allow that left shoulder to slowly peel up to the sky. Feel a buoyancy across the front of the chest as well. One more breath here. As you exhale, look down towards your mat. Frame the foot with both hands. Right foot steps back into plank. Cycle through your flow. So try to run down or table. Or always skipping it and meeting in down dog. In down dog, take a full cycle of breath. Full inhale. As you exhale, left foot will come forward in between the palms. So you're rooting through both heels here. We're going to find triangle on the left side. Inhale, lift up, arms come up. Exhale, right hand to right hip, left arm parallel to the earth. Hinge forward until you can't hinge anymore. Lengthen forward and then you hinge down to the earth. Left palm on the inside of the left foot or the shin. Right arm reaches up. Fingertips charging towards the sky. So you really feel the openness across the front of the chest. Charging down through the outer edge of that back foot allows you to feel the charge or the energetic charge all the way from the base of the foot through that right side body to the shoulder and then lengthening through that arm. So you're finding 3 triangles with the base of the legs, the arm, and the front leg, and then the entire body as well. One more breath here. As you exhale, look down, plant the palms, step left foot back, cycle through a flow or skip it, come into downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, take a full cycle of breath, full inhale, full exhale. This time, right foot will come forward in between the palms again. You're going to root through both heels. Inhale, rise up through warrior one. Find depth through that front right thigh. Lengthen through the arms. And as you exhale, open up, find warrior two. In warrior two, you're going to take a deep inhale, deep exhale. Lengthen through that front right thigh. Pivot the toes so that the toes are both facing in one direction. So you're going to come into a wide stance here. I'm going to turn to face you. Hands to the hips. You're going to come into a forward fold. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, hinge forward. The palms can meet the mat beneath you or the shins. You can bend the knees if you need to here. If you want an extra challenge, you can grab onto the big toes. Take another full cycle of breath here. We're going to do a funky movement here. So we're going to come into warrior one on the left side body. So you're going to begin to walk the hands over to the left foot as the left toes point forward. Adjust the legs so they come into warrior one legs, high lunge. And then inhale, open up, rise up. Exhale, open up, warrior two. From here, windmill the arms to frame that left foot. Step the left foot back into plank. And then you can always cycle through a flow, meeting in downward facing dog. And downward facing dog, take a full cycle of breath. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Bring the knees down, coming back to one of the postures we did at the beginning of class. Push the hips back, find child's pose. I'm going to lift my head here so that you can hear my voice, but essentially the forehead is touching the mat or the earth beneath you. Arms can be either out in front of you, or they can be along the body with the fingertips facing back, allowing the shoulders to kind of hunch forward with gravity pulling them forward. And just take a few extra long breaths here. Notice how the rib cage moves with every inhale, every exhale. One more breath. When you're ready, slowly rock through table. Rest your hips onto one side, and then bring the legs forward. Give them a nice little shake. We're going to bring our body into a laying down position, not Shavasana just yet, but we're going to come into a laying down position. We're going to do thread the needle posture. So in thread the needle, you're going to bend the knees, feet rooted into the mat, face or planted into the earth. Outside of the right ankle is going to rest onto the left thigh, opening up that right knee. So you'll feel the stretch in the right corner of the hip almost immediately. So you can stay here if you'd like, or for more depth, begin to lift that left foot. And for more depth, you can interlace the fingertips behind the left hamstring or over the left shin, your choice. Just notice where your shoulders are in space, and if they're kind of like hyper extending to grab onto the leg, can you root them down and find a sense of length along the back of the neck? Take a couple more breaths here. And then as you exhale, left foot comes down. You're going to keep the right foot where it is and slowly allow your body to twist over to the left side as the right foot plants onto the left side. Coming into a very gentle twist with the spine here. Arms can come out in a T-shaped position or cactus arms, so the elbows would be bent and palms facing up. Your choice, whatever feels better for the upper body and shoulders. And if you want to include the neck, you can allow your gaze to look over to the right side. Almost as if you're breathing into that right rib cage for one more breath. And then as you exhale, draw the legs to center, right leg down, and then we'll switch sides. So left ankle onto the right thigh. Again, opening up that left knee, feeling it in the left corner of the hip. And stay here if you'd like, or find more depth, lift the right foot, and then interlace the fingertips if needed. And then maybe with every exhale, you focus on drawing that right thigh closer, which will intensify the sensation in that left corner of the hip. So you can always back off or go for more depth. One more breath here. And then as you exhale, right foot comes down, left foot stays where it is. You're going to rotate onto that outer edge of the right hip as the left foot falls onto the right side. Then again, arms can come into a T-shaped position. If you did that arm movement before,
Maybe you'll switch it up into cactus, your choice. And then to bring the neck into the stretch, you can look over to the left. Imagine as if you're breathing into the left side body, left rib cage, left lungs. And then as you exhale, slowly rock the legs to center, both legs down. We're going to come into bridge posture next. So palms to either side of the body for balance, facing down. Feet rooted, and then find a nice comfortable position with the feet. As you inhale, plant the palms, lift the hips up towards the sky. Notice how much of the glutes are being used or engaged in the posture. And can you unclench them, or you attempt to use the strength from the thighs and the legs more instead? Corner of the hips charging up towards the sky, palms planted or interlaced behind the body. Fingertips, or the outer edge of the fingertips would be rooting down. One more breath here. As you exhale, slowly bring the hips down. Give yourself a well-deserved hug, knees into the body, rock from side to side. As you rock from side to side, left leg is going to extend out onto the mat, right knee in, right thigh in towards the body. Interlacing the fingertips over that right shin, shoulders rooted, full inhale here. As you exhale, you draw that right thigh closer to the body, but kind of slightly avoiding the rib cage. So it's almost as if the right knee was trying to aim towards the right shoulder. Full inhale here. As you exhale, you're going to switch or scissor the legs. So exhaling, right leg comes down, left leg comes in, left thigh in towards the body, left knee aiming towards the left shoulder as you exhale. One more breath here. As you exhale, both legs come down, arms reach overhead, fingertips reaching back behind you for a nice big stretch. And then similar to how we started class, we were stretching the side body and the torso, which is a movement we don't do very often in our everyday. So it's really nice to strengthen and lengthen those muscles. So we're going to come into another side body stretch known as supine half moon, or half moon, but just laying down. So the left corner of the hips are going to come to the left edge of your mat. So you're just going to scoot your hips over. Bottom of the feet are going to aim towards the bottom right corner of your mat. And then as you inhale, arms reach overhead, palms and fingertips reach over to the top right corner. So you're beginning to create the shape of a crescent moon, or the shape of the letter C, as you lengthen the left side body with palms and feet reaching to the right side and hips over to the left. If you want to intensify the stretch, you can cross the ankles, and you can even have the right hand clasp on to the left wrist for an added stretch through the upper limbs. One more breath here. And then as you exhale, arms come to either side of the body for balance to allow the hips now to move over to the right side. So as the outer edge of the right hip scooches over to the right edge of your mat, feet draw over to the bottom left corner. And then as you inhale, arms reach overhead to the top left corner. Again, same thing, you can cross the ankles. Left hand this time can grab onto the right wrist, lengthening through that right arm. And then feeling the stretch along the right side body. Take a couple more breaths here. Noticing how the body's beginning to soften with every exhale. One more breath. And then as you exhale, slowly bring the arms to either side. Bring your hips in towards the center or midline. We're going to come into a passive inversion. So we're just going to slowly lift the legs up towards the sky, and I'm going to guide you through it. If a headstand or an inversion is in your practice and you're comfortable doing that at home, you can go ahead and do that now. My instructions for today will just be for a modified inversion. So with palms to either side of the body, facing down, slowly begin to lift the legs up towards the sky. You can point and flex the feet here. Just bring a little bit of mobility to the ankles. So rotate the feet clockwise and counterclockwise. If you have a yoga block at home and you want to add more height to the posture, you can always lift through the hips and bring a block to the lower hips. That always feels nice. Or you can just hang out here. Look at your foundations, your feet. The palms rooted down, so the shoulder blades and the back body is still rooted to the mat. So you feel the heart shining up to the sky. Take a couple more breaths here, just allowing gravity to pull the circulation in the opposite direction. It doesn't happen very often, so be very relaxing and soothing, kind of make you feel lightheaded. Couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, slowly bring the legs down, feet plant onto the earth or your mat. Take a full inhale here, full exhale. We're going to come into a butterfly laying down position, or supine butterfly. So the soles of the feet are going to touch, and then the knees are going to fall open to either side of the room. So it's kind of like you're creating butterfly wings with the shape of your legs. Soles of the feet touching, knees to either side. And then we're going to mimic the same movement with the arms as we're doing with the legs. So the fingertips are going to come to the back of the head. You're going to interlace the fingertips almost like you're laying down onto the beach on this nice sunny day. So the elbows reach to either side of the room. Maybe you can let the eyes soften and close here for the first time during class. Take a deep inhale. Feel that full expansion in the torso and the rib cage. Belly rises towards the sky on a full inhale. And then as you exhale, the belly will collapse and soften. Couple more breaths here. Just using the full expansion that we created in the torso and the center of the body to allow space for all that oxygen to come in. Maybe you exaggerate your inhales and your exhales, taking a little bit more air in and breathing a little bit more of air out as you exhale. You're more than welcome to stay in this luxurious posture with the supine butterfly. Or if you want to come into Shavasana, corpse pose, final resting posture, you can bring the knees together, begin to lengthen out through the legs, lengthen out through the arms, so arms to either side of the body. And just begin to soften here. So do a quick scan from head to toes. And then as you exhale, you soften and release. Relax the shoulders. Relax the arms. Soften through the torso and the thighs as the hips melt. Soften through the knees, the calves, all the way to the toes. exhaling a sigh of relief, and then finding that sense of ease and relaxation almost immediately. Exhaling, finding ease. You are more than welcome to stay in Shavasana and corpse pose. If you feel that's what your body needs the most, honor that, completely fine. If you would like to join in on a quick meditation before you go off into your day, I will guide you through that before we end class. In which case, if you'd like to join, you're more than welcome to just roll over to one side very slowly. Still keep the eyes closed. And then you can press yourself up and then come into a seated position. Only appreciated to go into a meditation practice before we end class. In the seated position, feel that sense of buoyancy along the spine from top to bottom, crown of the head shining up. Arms soften, maybe the palms rest onto the knees facing up or down, your choice. So we'll cycle through a few rounds of breath together. And it's just square box breathing. So we count from 1 to 4 on the inhale. We'll hold the breath, so the lungs will be filled with air for a brief moment. And then as you exhale, you count down from 4 to 1, and then you hold the breath on the retention of no air at all in the lungs. I'll guide you through it, and we'll do 4 rounds. So when you're ready, we'll just exhale here to prepare. Inhale deeply through the nose for a count of 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath as the lungs are filled with air. And then as you exhale, breathing out through the nose for 3, 2, 1. Hold on the retention of no breath in the lungs for a brief moment. And then breathing in the fresh oxygen again for 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. Exhale deeply for 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. Lungs empty. Inhale deeply for 2, 3, 4. This is the 3rd round. Exhale, emptying the lungs completely for 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. Lungs empty. Last round. Inhale. We'll go up to 5 for 2, 3, 4. Filling the lungs for 5. Hold the breath here. Exhale deeply through the nose for 4, 3. Breathing out for 2, 1. Lungs empty. Hold the breath. And then slowly at your own pace, allow the breath to return to its natural rhythm. So without controlling the movement of the breath, breathing in and out through the nose. And then just notice what happened to the thoughts when you were only focused on your breath. Did they slow down? Did they pause? Notice that your breath is a tool that you can access on and off your mat into your everyday. And just breathe. Full inhale, full exhale. Right hand to left shoulder, left hand to right shoulder. So you're crossing the arms here. Give yourself a hug, rock from side to side. You did it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember that class on Fridays starts at 11, and it's 45 minutes in length, and it runs Tuesdays and Fridays, 45 minutes each. On Tuesdays, the class is at 3:30. Hope to see you all then again soon. Until then, stay hydrated and stay safe. Namaste. Come towards the camera here.
Thanks for joining.